back today playing Silent Hill Homecoming, and let me think for a second, or actually let me just look down to the bottom right and see that it is 10 p.m. exactly at night, which means that again I'm giving the game the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this time it will scare me. It's almost Halloween. It's the season. It should scare me. It's nighttime. It's dark in my room. The window is only slightly ajar, which means no other noises could spook me. This game will have to scare me. We'll see if it can do its job. But before I go anywhere, there's a couple things I want to address. First is, I was a little bit... Actually, let's start with something else, which is... It is currently the 23rd of October right now, as I'm recording this. And this will probably come out on the 25th. And I'm thinking about doing something for Halloween because I've been asked before if I would stream or do something like that. So I've been thinking I might do something for Halloween on Halloween night. And anyways, I'm not sure exactly what I'll do, but I know the date and time, of course, which will be Halloween, October 31st. I think it's a Monday. It will be at 9 p.m. Central Time, 10 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be streaming something. I will stream something on YouTube of me playing something. I'm not sure what exactly. So please go to the description and go to the poll that I've included, the straw poll, and make a vote. Because I'm not sure what I should do. I'm thinking by the time that Halloween comes around, I'll probably be right around the end of Homecoming. So I'm going to include the option of I can just live stream the end of Homecoming, if that's what you want. But I'm also going to include a few other things. There's Condemned Criminal Origins, which is a game I actually haven't played, but I'd like to. I've wanted to for a long time. I'm a big fan of Monolith Studios. And I could also always just go with an old classic. I could play Silent Hill 2 or 3 and just do kind of a keep the stream chat open on a side laptop and just read it while I play the game, while I explain things, answer questions about whatever. Or if you have another suggestion, and I will keep an other box open so you can put in your own suggestions. I'm just going to make the rule, though, that no emulation, really, unless even like Silent Hill 1, because that means that I have to contort the screen and usually I have to play in windowed mode, which means in editing I always compress the video so you can't see the rest of my desktop and all the things I have open, and not because I'm embarrassed of it, of course, but because you can see my real name in some of it. So no emulation. Also, there's other reasons, of course. You have to configure it beforehand if you want hardware or software mode, and then change all the settings and see which audio setting works best, and tinker and download ISOs and download more than one if the first one doesn't work, and it's just a whole mess. So well, I was thinking about doing Haunting Ground or something, Eternal Darkness, something like that. I don't think I'm going to do those. Also, I'm going to rule out Amnesia, because Amnesia is just too much narration to it. It's hard to play with the narration going. But otherwise, it's up to you to make a suggestion, or I can just finish Homecoming on stream. I'll leave the stream chat open and talk as we go. And of course, whatever I record, whatever the stream is, it will go up on YouTube as you know, so you can watch it after the fact. So don't feel bad if you miss it. Anyways, so it's just a little announcement, I guess. Go vote, please. And if you can't make it or you don't want to do that, that's fine too. I don't expect more than a few people to turn out at most. Maybe a few, like 3 or 4. But I've been asked to do it, so I might as well offer. Anyways, let's play the game. Sorry for that long diatribe. So, there's something I haven't given the game full credit for, and I do apologize for that, which is, I said that the smog enemy, which is the sort of lying figure, armless man, straight jacket looking enemy that spews smoke, I said that the smoke is just representative of the evil of the town. That's what basically has been explained in some of the journals and diary entries in the game, or at least, you know, that were leading up to the release of the game, and some concept art. But there's also a suggestion that possibly there's a theme of asphyxiation, which is something we'll get to later with a certain enemy named Asphyxia, however you want to pronounce it. It's a hard word to say. But basically, he suffocates you with his smoke. He's got smoke coming out that suffocates you, and there's sort of a theme of suffocation, I guess, in that way. For a few reasons, it's not necessarily tied directly to Alex. I mean, there's other reasons for that. But yeah, I just thought I'd point that out so that you don't call me a fraud and a hack. Anyways, now we can play the game. So we're going to use our key that we got from the old lady after the side quest with no resolution. Oh, hey, it's Josh. So I just want you to take a wild guess at what's going to happen here. We can jump across here to Josh. Who would have guessed that we wouldn't make it? Who would have guessed? And that looked terrible, by the way. So he just watches and doesn't care.
Please help me. Josh. Don't let me fall.
And we fall, I think 2 stories down, straight onto our spine, which is, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not a good thing for your health. Where the hell did I just drop to? Okay. So I just want to point out something that really frustrates me about this game, which is there's quite a few needless cutscenes. In 2 and 3 and 1, the cutscenes are relatively rare, and when they do happen, they're either pretty short or they're like 5 minutes long, maybe 6 absolute tops if it's later in the game. And they're pretty enigmatic, they're pretty interesting, the characters are stilted, it's really well written. For example, that line from Born from a Wish that Ernest Baldwin tells you, Silent Hill 2 Born from a Wish, where he says, some things we forget that we wish we didn't, and some things we just can't forget that we wish we could. I don't know which is worse. Which is a well written line, it's a good observation. In this game, the cutscenes stretch on for... Like when I fell down here, I could have landed here and then stood up, or I could have just landed here and then slowly started standing up and it would fade away. Instead, there was like 30 or 45 extra seconds of me hitting the floor, lying there and moaning, then groaning as I stand up very slowly, looking around, and usually in a game that is done for a reason, which is that it introduces you to a new area. Usually it will cut to a close-up over-the-shoulder camera angle so that your character can look around and say, what is this place, or something like this. Unfortunately, the developers of this game didn't really realize that, and they just thought that cutscenes needed to be long for some reason. I really don't have a clue what they were thinking, but again, it's just complete disregard for the player or their time. Oops, I forgot that that I'm not playing a survival horror game. I'm playing Silent Hill Homecoming, so I can't collect any more ammo. We can collect as many health drinks as we want, though. Table's covered in dust and grime. The same stupid picture of a guy we've seen a million times. The same shady guy we saw earlier. And a save sign. I might as well save here. No reason not to, I guess. So we're going to save here and see if the game freezes up on us. Oh. So 100% of the loading screens come close to crashing. They freeze up and stop animating for a second, but saving about 50% of the time it comes close to crashing. Thankfully I've had no saves or... So this is something I really dislike, which is that this door leads back to the lobby, if we look at the map. If I can zoom... I keep forgetting you can't zoom in any natural means. So this is the lobby, that's the door we came in, and then we went up in that elevator. And it would have taken maybe half a second of effort to just make it so we can unlock the store from the side and go out here and explore if we want. But the developers didn't take the time to actually attach this to the actual lobby. So now this room is just sort of floating off in space somewhere. It's not attached to upstairs, and it's not attached to the lobby. So it kind of just breaks your immersion of, well, I'm the player and I'm in control, so I just want to go back to the lobby, even just to prove to myself that this is a real place. That's the whole name of the game in horror, is immersion. So even just the small details, even if they're pointless like this, are just it's so lazy. It's just completely lazy to not let the player go back out here if they want to. And it just breaks immersion because it reminds you that I'm playing a video game and I'm not actually in it. I'm not actually in control. I'm just being corralled to one certain door, this door, by the developers. I can't actually go explore like I'd like to. Anyways, let's go explore as we would dislike to into this vine-covered area. Now this reminds me of some hallways in Arcadia. I don't know if you've played it, but BioShock. It's sort of a spiritual successor to the System Shock series, and BioShock is, the first one at least, is one of my favorite games of all time. Excellent game, well written, good story. I really like the combat, I really like the design, and it's a game, it's got some slight horror elements, especially in the enemy design, and I would consider playing it one day if you guys would want me to, because I know as much about that as I know about Silent Hill. I really like BioShock. That's just an observation. This reminds me of those hallways in Arcadia. It's locked. Maybe if we use... what an exotic looking plant. Huh? Oh, I see. So this is just another reminder of how, why the developers got this job, which is that they could replicate the transition effect from the real world, in quotation marks, it's called the fog world usually, into the other world, which is the blood and rust world. You can tell when you're in the other world in Homecoming because there's just a grate everywhere. There's fences and orange grates and stuff. And most of the vines appear to have died. I've visited greenhouses before, but I've never seen plants like this. So, like I said before, this is definitely not a giant boss arena. But now that we got this transition, we can probably go through this door. Yes, we can. Excellent. Okay. And in here we see, again, a little jarring detail that, as the Red Letter Media reviews of the prequels often say, you might not notice it, but your brain does, which is that when you come into this room, this guy, who is the same guy we saw at the cemetery digging graves, or, exhuming bodies, is not doing anything. He's not keeping busy, he's not digging graves, he's not doing anything at all. He's just standing there waiting for us, Again, it slightly breaks your immersion that he's just waiting for you, that you are the sole thing in this game's universe, and that everything revolves around the player, and that the NPCs are just waiting for you, and again, it's just, I get that there's a supernatural element, but when it's other characters, it doesn't make sense. And that clip should have played when you walk in the room, instead of when you get so close, right here, that he shouts at him from 7 feet away.
Mayor Bartlett, I need to talk to you.
And why he's...
Well, make an appointment in my office.
He's still shouting at him for some reason. So we can say, do you know me, and what happened to Shepherd's Glen? By the way, this is Sam Bartlett, is his name, also known as Mayor Bartlett. He's the mayor of the town. Well, he's the mayor of Shepherd's Glen. Let's ask him what happened to Shepherd's Glen.
You're the mayor. These people are your responsibility.
Now you listen to me, you little asshole. I did everything I could to protect those people. But you can't stop what's already been started. What the hell else do you want from me?
So, he just has to say, listen here, you little asshole. So he's just kind of a jerk. He's obviously drunk as he's holding a wine bottle. And kind of a belligerent drunk. Don't you want to do more? You didn't do enough. Let's bully him a little bit since he's a drunk.
You didn't do a good job of protecting your own son, did you?
Wow,
Bet you
that's a
don't even
little
know where he
bit
is.
too
Are
far.
you saying I'm a bad father? Who the hell are you to say that? I've done the best I could for him. I taught him everything he knows. I bought him anything he wanted, no matter how much it cost. You don't know anything about my son.
Oh, that was a nice transition there. Nice and natural.
What the hell is this?
Belongs to your son, doesn't it? Where is he?
Joey?
Yes, Joey. He and my brother were friends. I need to find him.
You shouldn't have come back, Alex. Times are bad. People don't trust me anymore. I can't protect them.
Protect them from what? What did you do?
Something has come. Taken everyone away. You can't stop them. They'll get you too.
Who's taking them? What are you talking about? Where's my brother? Bastard.
You can't, Sage.
Okay, so here we get our first boss fight in the game. Let me turn down my sound because he's pretty loud. Of course, he killed the mayor there, and just let me tell you that this boss's name, while I run in circles, is that audio is way too loud. Is Sepulchre, which is short for, or at least derived from, sepulchrum, which is Latin for tomb. Essentially, if you add together the symbolism, he's Mayor Bartlett. We saw him in the cemetery exhuming graves or digging graves, whichever, pick your poison. And here he likes to garden, he likes to do all this stuff. So, essentially, this monster is built for, or at least based off of, Mayor Bartlett's guilt and his feelings about, what he likes to do and as far as gardening and all that. But also something else which hasn't been directly told to us yet. But just remember that the theme of the game is dead kids, as we've seen a million times through the child's drawings and through the notes and so on. So also he's saying that he was, Alex is saying that Mayor Bartlett was a bad father, and meaning, again, he didn't protect his son. Essentially, he died. And I just want to point out, he says he was a good father, he did everything for his son, he bought everything he wanted, which is sort of textbook not being a good father, to spoil your son. But, oh well. Anyways, we're going to use our exorbitant amount of ammo here, and shoot these meat sacks. It takes 3 shots to destroy each one. And this boss is really easy to avoid his attacks. Just run in circles and you're literally impervious to damage from him. Of course, I turned around in the middle of my circle there, so that's my fault. Oh, he got me good. Let me just do one more circle around, and I'll shoot at them. Alright, we're getting close. Wait for him to punch, and shoot it. Okay. So that we shoot these meat sacks, sorry. We get the second phase of the boss battle with Sepulchre, and most of the bosses have different phases in this game. Which is sort of a traditional boss fight thing, in which once you do a certain amount of damage or a certain amount of or certain things to a boss, they will transition to a different mode. They'll have different attacks, or at least modified attacks, and usually they'll move around a bit more, and become sort of a different boss fight. I quite like it. In other games, at least. In this game, it's pretty uninspired. Just like their different phases, they're pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Oh, he got me good. So let's heal here. And like I said in the boss fights, you can't really stun lock opponents with your knives. And, oh, it only took one attack. Which means that it's best to use just whatever is the strongest melee weapon you have. And also because you can't stun lock the enemies like you usually can with a knife on other enemies, you have to make use of the dodge function a lot more. Oh, we stabbed him right in the head.
Anybody here?
Okay. So now we're locked in a prison cell. I just want to point out two things that I saw in that cutscene that were completely god-awful, which I'll cut to and I'll show you here, which is first when he was falling down that hole. It's pretty obvious after a second that he just goes into a default lying down position and that they just moved his body down until it was absorbed by the blackness, which you can see here. I'll zoom in and try and go in slow motion, and it just looks awful. The second thing is that when this cutscene happened and we awoke in here, the camera panned out through the bars, and instead of going between the bars as you'd think a camera would, getting a good shot, some people would say, instead they just clipped right through the bars, which I'll show you here. Oh, now that we waited long enough, we get a little cutscene, and I think somebody will come.
Deputy Wheeler.
Well, well. Back in the world of the living.
How did I get here?
I put you here.
Haven't quite made up my mind about you yet.
Wheeler, come on, you know me. Let me out.
You won't be going anywhere till I get some answers.
Start talking.
I don't know. Last thing I remember, I was in a greenhouse with Mayor Bartlett.
Sam Bartlett? That lunatic? Where is he? I got a couple of questions I'd like to ask him about what's been going on around here.
Okay. So this is Deputy Wheeler. His full name is James Wheeler, although we only hear him referred to as Deputy. Concept art and diaries reveal his first name is James, possibly a reference to James Sunderland of Silent Hill 2. And let's take a look. He wants to know about Mayor Bartlett. Where is he? I don't know. He went home. He's dead. Let's be honest, he's dead.
Well, you're not going to be able to ask him anything. He's dead.
Dead? Shit. You better start telling me what you're up to,
Shit.
Alex. I want to know right now.
I'm just trying to find my brother, okay? I thought the mayor might know something. His son is missing too.
A lot of people are missing, but that doesn't give you the right to kill a man.
I didn't kill anybody.
Then what happened to Mayor Bartlett?
You won't believe me, it was an accident. A monster killed him. Let me just take a minute to say something about Wheeler, because this is a good angle. Deputy Wheeler is, I've looked quite a bit into it. There's really nothing interesting or standout or even remotely cool about him, except for the fact that he is based on Forrest Whitaker, who is an actor, and he sort of just looks like a generic black cop, you know, hardcore black guy, except for his eye, which kind of gives it away that he's based on Forrest Whitaker, because his eye is, I'll do a side-by-side comparison here, but he has a condition called ptosis, I believe it's called, or maybe just ptosis, maybe the P is silent, in which your eyelid is sort of draped over a little bit on one eye. It's a little goofy. I think Tom York has the same thing. Tom York of Radiohead. And anyways, yeah, so that kind of explains it. It's hard to tell here, because usually if you're pointing, you would close your eye on the gun, but they didn't bother to do that. But yeah, that's really all there is to say about Wheeler for the whole playthrough. He's not interesting at all. So what happened to him? It was an accident. I'll say a monster killed him.
Some kind of creature, but worse than the others. It came to life out of the goddamn tree. That's what killed him, and that's the truth. I swear.
So you've seen the creatures too. We should get moving. I'm not sure it's safe here anymore.
Yes.
Follow me.
I had noticed some text on the wall here that I want to read. It's a poem on the wall. All I want is freedom to forget about my past. All I need is... Please shut up. All I need is freedom so my sanity will last. Are you seeking freedom from this wretched metal cell? Then look no further than yourself, for now you're trapped in hell. Interesting. I wonder if I could take this... It's rusted salt. Okay. So let's take a look around here. There's a couple things I wanted to mention, actually, before I go forward, because there's about to be sort of a combat sequence in the game. I wanted to mention that Mary Shepherd-Sunderland is James's wife in Silent Hill 2, the person who sends him the letter, or at least he thinks he got the letter. Well, he maybe got the letter, who knows. It's sort of a blur when it comes to supernatural Silent Hill magic, but her full name is Mary Shepherd-Sunderland, and many speculate that the Shepherd is similar to Alex Shepherd, Shepherd's Glen, and in a pre-release diary, which is, there's a few different diaries for the different characters in the game, and in one of them, Alex mentions some background to the town in sort of a really weird way, because there's no way anybody would know about any of it, and it's so blatant that it really takes the mystery out of it, which is no fun. But I'll show you the picture here, and he does mention at the end of the Silent Hill 2 paragraph about Mary Shepherd-Sunderland, and he says, was she related to me? That's all we get as, you know, as far as knowing if that was intentional or not, except in an interview, Tom Hewlett said that it was a coincidence that they were named Alex Shepherd and Mary Shepherd-Sunderland, so not too big of a deal, but I just thought I'd mention it. I also want to mention a few references as far as achievements go, but I will save those for a little bit later, because I can explain them all at once if we just go forward a bit here. Or missing poster. Oh, hey. That's actually pretty cool. So if you look straight above Alex's head, there's a wanted poster. That's the famous sketch of the Zodiac Killer. I'll show you it here. That's pretty interesting, actually. That's neat that they went out of their way to put that there. Anyway, it's time for another completely linear segment. Let me move my mic, sorry. Okay. So let's follow Wheeler. Yep. Why would I ever think that was open? And that's locked as well. Yeah, you have the shotgun. You probably should. Oh, I guess not. Shit! Oh, a save sign. I do like the red glow of the save symbols in this game, but I think it's just a little bit too strong. It's sort of a it seems like a neon sign, whereas in Silent Hill 2 and 3, the red square and also the Halo of the Sun in 3, they have a very, very faint glow, sort of, not even a shimmer, but just a very faint glow. It's the same glow you see on Pyramid Head when you first encounter him in Silent Hill 2, and it's very subtle. Uh-oh. Oh, the game just froze for a second. Yes. That was the stupidest line I've ever heard in my life. I know someone who knows something about this. Doc Fitch and the mayor? Yeah, I think they know something. They? Who's they? God damn, Alex is a fucking retard. Oh. We almost played a little bit too much video game there. It's time for an enemy intro cutscene. I will do that. So, again, the complete antithesis to... I do have to keep running here, so sorry. Oh, we gotta cut... Wait, he was... Okay. I can't even stand up to the game anymore. I just have to let it bully me into submission.
I'm on my way to the sheriff's station. Something's after me.
Now, head to the parking lot behind the station. We'll meet you there. Clear a path in the lobby. And break down the barricade. I'll cover you, okay? Alright.
Whoa, action face. He's so cool. I'm not ready, Wheeler. So let me just... I wish I could close this door. I got the station map. This is another illusion. We're not going to look at that again. So I just want to point out that this was an intro to more enemies. There... Oh my goodness, how many fucking cutscenes will we get? Oh hey, a new enemy. So what is that? 2 enemy introduction cutscenes within... That had to be less than 2 minutes. Oh, the game froze. Okay. That was a nice and natural transition. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that... Oh, we got some actually good music that kicks in here. I just got so floored by that 2.5 minutes of shit that... Wow. They didn't even bother to move the body, or at least, like, even remove it. They just kept it here so that the stuff would clip through it. All they would have had to do is despawn this, that's it. In fact, the enemies despawn if you leave them alone for a long enough time. So they could have just let that go, or just sped it up for this particular model. But, you know, I guess that's too much effort. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is, these enemies right here, I'll show you a picture since you can barely see this one. They're called schisms. And Schism, I think, is a really cool name for an enemy. It's an appropriate name. And it might be one of the best enemy designs in the game. Because Schism has it's an interesting design. The light blue shade is kind of unnerving and something you haven't seen in Silent Hill before. It looks sort of alien and unnatural. I mean, all enemies in Silent Hill look unnatural, but it looks alien and otherworldly in a way. And I really like that. It's got a split head, split down the middle. That's a giant axe blade, which is pretty cool. And the split head represents some things that kind of gets into spoiler territory, but essentially there is a theme of splitting things, not necessarily duality really, like Pyramid Head, but there's or Pyramid Head, like James and Pyramid Head, but there's sort of a splitting theme at least, splitting through the head. There is a split between reality and unreality, the split between, we go from Shepherd's Glen to Silent Hill. There is a split between Josh and Alex, because Alex doesn't show up in almost any of the family's photos, and the family seems to hate him, quite honestly. And also there's one side of the body has a really contorted and strange arm, and the other side has a normal or, kind of small arm. And yeah, it's an interesting enemy. It's got a good name. Okay, it's pretty good. It's not the best. It doesn't really mean all that much, but it's interesting and probably the most original design in the game. Because even the bosses are, like, Sepulchre is just a hanging thing. It's a hanging boss that pounds the ground, does his ultra ground pound attack, which is something that should never be in a Silent Hill game, but which is sort of just your generic Zelda enemy. And yeah, but Schism, I'll give him credit, because Schism is pretty good. Schism is original at the least. At least not ripping off the rest of Silent Hill. But like I said, oh, we should kill this thing. This is the Schism in action. You can see its head sort of splits open when it shouts. It's got a stilted walk. And the game gave us a shotgun, so we should use it. But now we're out of ammo. We should change. Oh! It's gonna come for us here. Let's use our pistol. Oh, didn't even notice him. I'm not gonna bother conserving ammo because it hands it out like candy, honestly. This one came from nowhere. I dodged too early. That's my fault. So, whoa. Fair enough. Something I've discovered about the game is that, uh-oh. I just interrupted his ultra charge attack. Something I've discovered about the combat is that you can stun lock enemies. Uh-oh, I'm about to get hit, I think. Yeah. The knife does not stun lock in the traditional meaning of the word stun lock, and that you can attack over and over, except for sometimes, which is really the best I can offer you as far as insight goes, because you clearly saw it with the nurses earlier in the game. You clearly saw it with ferals, and I've done it before with schisms when I first played the game, and I've done it with other enemies, and so you can sometimes stun lock them. And sometimes it's the knife's attribute is that it just attacks so fast that you can interrupt attacks, like I did with that charge. So if I will have to dodge more than I thought I would, and that's admittedly my fault. But oh hey, a mirror that they put very little effort into not making blurry. Let's check all these. With leaking water coming out the ceiling. But yeah, combat, not great. I guess that's the summary of all my statements. So I'm going to make a real effort to explore here. And see if maybe, just maybe, any of these doors will break the pattern of complete linearity. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem to. Let's hop through here and grab this. Oof, duh. I was just thinking I'm not scared at all, but then I saw the exact same gore body I've seen probably 8 times now, and I got scared again. It's even the same exact position. It's not even a reuse of the model. It's a reuse. It's just lifted and moved to this location. I really did love Silent Hill, you know. Nothing in here. Whoa. You see, I was just thinking about how I wasn't scared at all, but then I saw the exact same gory body cut in half that I've seen 9 times, and I got scared again. I'm sorry for saying that so repetitively throughout this whole series, but it's to prove the point that it is in fact not scary at all. It's also to show how I feel. How it makes me, the player, feel. As far as repetitive game design goes. I forgot I have a flashlight, but this game, I'm pretty sure most of it is designed around you not having a flashlight. Because you can't honestly tell me in this area we're meant to have a flashlight. Or that we need to have it on. Even in the dark areas, like in Silent Hill 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, this right here would be pitch black. If I was standing here, it would be pitch black. Because that immerses you and makes you think of real life. That's how it is in real life. In an area completely devoid of any light, almost, it would be completely dark black. Completely dark. And this game doesn't do that. Because I guess that would be too scary or something? I don't know. But because they took the time... Wow. I was just thinking about how not scared I am, but then I saw the exact same half body for the 10th time, and I got scared again. Let's use a different weapon since there's 2 of these guys here. I don't have much pistol ammo. But there is ammo over here, so... Let's use this, actually. Normally I would conserve this ammo. What in the world? Huh. For some reason there I left my combat stance without hitting shift. That was very strange. Should we use the fire axe? Let's try the fire axe for a while and see how it turns out. Anyways, usually I would conserve as much ammo as possible, but like I said, there is a limit to how much you can hold, so the game encourages you to use it as fast as you can. To call this game a survival horror game is not even close. It has horror themes. It's not really a survival horror game at all. Whoa, that was scary, wasn't it? Something interesting about the schism is you can see its bare behind and its strange genitals. It's probably about Alex's anxiety of genitals and behinds. It's very strange. I'm trying to figure out how to properly dodge that attack. Seems the only way to do it is just to dodge backwards. It's a police station. I've never been to a police station because I've never been arrested or in trouble with the law, but I don't think that most police stations have an auto body shop in the back of them. Maybe that's just my naivete. The same useless TV. By the way, they missed a great opportunity to put the symbols that you see in Silent Hill 1 of... Sorry, I yawned and then I moved around my chair. Of symbols that you see in Silent Hill 1, that the creepy ones that show up on TVs, they show up a few times in 3 as well, I believe. And instead of putting those on here, they just put some weird, not even weird really, it looks like some kind of circuit thing. I have no clue. It's not really sinister. Let's examine this. It's a box. No, please let me get out of here. And what is this? Oh, there's a switch right here. And if we pull this switch, then a delayed sound effect will play, or an early sound effect. And also the game will freeze for a second. And I guess that opens the garage door. Apparently Wheeler went out here and he left and then he closed the garage door. Whatever. And here we see a clock. And this clock is stopped at 2:06. Because it's almost like something won't let us move on. So let's try 2:06 on this. I don't think there's a better screenshot of Silent Hill Homecoming than this. This sort of summarizes Silent Hill Homecoming in a single frame. There's a clock which has been pointed out to us multiple times by characters in the game that the time is stopped at 2:06. There's a clock right here, less than a foot away from this code box that says 2:06. So we put in 2:06 and it opens up. I don't think you can call that a puzzle. But what would you call it then? It's just pathetic.